It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me.
Good Friday and happy Veterans Day to all who served, no matter what conflict, even if it was boot camp. I personally will thank you for your participation in serving us and protecting all of us. So happy Veterans Day to you. And the schools are closed today, and we should all just sort of reflect for a minute and thank them. Thank any service member you can. I know I've been watching the Today Show, and they've done a lot with it pretty much all week long, but they're so right on. Happy Veterans Day. Whew. I guess that could be the best reaction of all Tiger fans. Whew. Relief. The 4-game losing streak is over. The Tigers are now on the doorstep of postseason play. This came up, I don't really know the answer. If Memphis beats North Alabama, and they'll probably be 3 touchdown favorites if they even post a line on that game. If they do, it will be the 9th straight year that they will have gone bowling. J-Mo, I don't know if you can find this out. I know it's the longest streak of any group of 5 team. More than Cincinnati, more than UCF, more than Houston, more than BYU, the 4 teams that the Big 12 took. I want to say, though, I wonder if you looked at all the group of 5 schools, because it hasn't been that long that we've had all these bowl games. I mean, you can go back to Chuck Stobart in the 90s, and Memphis couldn't go to a bowl game even though they were 6-5 because there wasn't enough bowls to go around. Now there's more than you can handle. So I wonder if you can even research this, but is that the longest streak by any group of 5 school in the history of college football in the bowls?
It very well could be, because I'm looking through here pretty much all of the lists. I don't have one just for the group of 5, but it seems like.
Well, I'm sure schools like Alabama, all these great schools, even when there were not that many bowls, those schools would have gone to 9 in a row.
Utah looks like it went to 11 in a row,
Oh.
But they're Power 5 now too. But it kind of goes back
Right.
and forth. Ooh, Southern Miss, 10 consecutive.
Oh, when was that? That had to be under Jeff Bauer, huh?
Yeah, it looks like it doesn't have an exact year here, but it says they're tied for 10. They're tied with Wisconsin, West Virginia, and Boise State for 10 in a row.
So Boise State would not be a
Oh, that's
Power
right,
5.
Boise State too. So 2 of them.
So there's 2. Memphis has to keep winning in order to get that streak. That still is darn impressive. And let's face it, last night was one whale of a defensive performance. I was thinking about this. I think, and if Tiger fans want to text in on the text line at 901-360-8255, I got to say, that might be the best defensive performance by a Tiger football team. God, I don't know how far back. There was no defensive performance like that in the Norvell era. It was a lot of offense. A Norvell team would have scored 50 or 60 last night on Tulsa. There's no doubt. Memphis had 3 straight opportunities, 3, to take a 21-point lead in the game, and they couldn't do it. And they got some gifts that were there, and they couldn't do it. It's certainly maybe Fuente, maybe early, mid Fuente, where there was a defensive performance like that. I don't know, but it was pretty outstanding when you hold Tulsa to. Let's see, I'm trying to remember the total. It was just barely 200 yards, right? I think that's right. Let me get these final numbers out here. They hold Tulsa to 207 yards. Tulsa had only 60 plays. Memphis had the football 36 minutes and 14 seconds, 13 minutes more than Tulsa. That you never see. And that's incredibly surprising because Memphis could not run the football. I mean, that is the one thing that you shake your head at. You're so grateful for the W. You're so relieved if you're a Tiger fan or a Tiger staff member that you got the W. You're so appreciative of this defense that was outstanding. I mean, if you look at what the Tigers did with first, they ended up with 12 first downs because they got a bunch of those in the end. That's it. They were stuck on 3 first downs until the last 5 minutes of the game, I think. It's crazy. Couldn't have been, though. They had 12. But it was really a dominating performance. I don't know. If you really dig deep in this to get the magnitude of it, can you imagine 28 players missed practice last week in the short week because of the flu? Another 8 or 9 players, I think he said later he amended it, 9 players were injured. 37 players. 37, more than a third of your team could not practice last week because of injury or really the majority being the flu. Crazy. And yet they come out here, their offensive line was makeshift. That's probably part of the reason they could barely run the football. And that remains an issue. They had 79 yards running the ball. That's on 39 carries.
One of the most interesting parts of the game to me was also the chippiness of it. Starting in the first quarter, what do you think contributed to that?
No. It started before the game.
Really?
Yes. In fact, our own Greg Gaston is doing his little pregame piece. This is literally an hour and 50 minutes before the game. And Joseph Skates, who got into it and then got injured a little later, Joseph Skates, and I want to say one of the cornerbacks, yapping the whole game, got into it before the game and had to be separated. Had to be separated before the game, an hour and 50 minutes before the game. I will say this about Philip Montgomery, who probably is a dead man walking now. He's 41-53 in 8 years. He's averaging five wins a year. That guy, they've given him every chance. Now, 2 years ago, they went to the championship game. But 2 years ago when they went to the championship game, this always kind of registered in my head because I never had this notion of Tulsa being this, as you say, chippy, this kind of nasty team. Because do you recall they played in a good bowl game and they played Mississippi State? And they had a brawl in that game, an ugly brawl in that game 2 years ago. And here they are. They're having to be separated before the game. And there were 3 instances in this football game where there were fights going on. McAllen Pounders, who did not start the game, who's really had a frustrating kind of year, and maybe it kind of spilled over. But he actually took a swing at a guy, and they had to kick him out of the game. He's ineligible first half next week.
So it's only one half then. He can't play.
Correct.
I was wondering that after the game. Yeah, I remember that. Now that you mentioned, I look it up, and now I remember exactly. It was at the end of the game, Tulsa, Mississippi State, Armed Forces.
Oh, it was ugly.
And they go after, and I remember Mike Leach had to talk about it after the game.
Yeah.
And they were going back and forth the whole game, and he was saying it was on their side, it was on our side. So Tulsa building a little reputation now.
I actually mentioned that to Ryan Silverfield after the game. Memphis hasn't been involved in any fights all year long. Okay? None. And here you go. You got 3 fights against this team that now seems to be liking to get in fights. I don't know. Maybe this is Philip Montgomery. I don't think he's going to be around next year, so it doesn't matter. We do know Tulsa will be around next year. At least Memphis will be playing in that conference. And it was nice to see Mike Oresco here, and Mike Oresco saying the right things because he realizes how important Memphis is now to his conference with the loss of Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF. He basically told Mark Giannotto that Memphis needs to get back to where they were because the conference really needs them.
That's right. Certainly at this point, we talk about all the time, there's no other teams to take. If you need the fan support, you need to be a good football team. Speaking of all that, you mentioned people texting. We got some texts about the game last night. One from 901 Steve said, getting to a bowl is great, but pales in comparison to an AAC championship or a Cotton Bowl. 6-6 is not good enough. We think 9-3 is better is the bar.
Well, what's his name?
901 Steve.
901 Steve, I appreciate what you say. And I miss going to championship games. I really do. Memphis went to 3 of them in a row. But I will remind you, just for a little context here, just for a little bit of perspective. I don't know how long 901 Steve, you've been around. But if you go back to some years prior to Tommy West, where there was a drought of 27 years you went to no bowl, then let's go back to an even darker period of time after Tommy West elevated the program. Let's go to Larry Porter.
The dark days.
Those are dark days where you would say, literally, and I remember this, 3 football games in, you'd go, okay, basketball's right around the corner. That was the perspective. And so going to bowl games, 9 in a row, even if it ends up 6-6, I hope it's 7-5. That's still within the realm of possibility. But I hear you. I know there's disappointment and there's frustration. But I will say this, I'm going to take bowl games. I'm going to take postseason. I'm going to take those 9 years in a row because I remember when 3 games in, you'd go football is over. And that is not the case in this era. So that is good. And even Mike Oresco realizes how important that is. Any other texts?
Yeah, there's one more. It's the kind of same thing on the same lines. Not good enough. We need a new coach, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
a lot of that stuff.
I think that's quieted down now. I really do believe that Silverfield's going to get one more year for sure to compete. And I'll say this, Ryan has stated emphatically for the last 2 years, his target was his 4th year to get the program back to where it was in the glory days with Norvell. So he's got a young line. That offensive line really needs to be fixed. There's no doubt about that. Special teams, much better last night with coverage. Different kickoff guy. Because I believe the other guy got the flu, Noah Grant, so Tanner Gillis came in. Hey, bottom line is, you go to postseason, I think the guy deserves another year, and I think he's going to get another year. I think that was the relief, and now he'll get the opportunity. Next year will be a whole different situation.
Well, I know we kind of downplay the importance of bowls, especially nowadays in the new age of college football playoff, but I think people forget how much a late December bowl win, when there's not a whole lot of other things going on TV, that's the main event of the day, can galvanize a fan base and carry into next year.
I hope it does. I truly have sort of a different slant on this. I've always felt this way, particularly because of the proliferation of bowls and the fact now that players opt out. I've always thought, since they went to, if you're 500, you're going to get into a bowl because they got so many bowls, because it was moneymakers for college football and for ESPN and, frankly, for communities. And the AutoZone Liberty Bowl is a major part of the fabric of the sports DNA in Memphis. So I'm not poo-pooing it, but I've never thought it's anything more than an exhibition game. Unless you're in the playoffs or it's a national championship bowl game, Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, whatever it might be, those matter. These other bowls, they're vacations, they're trips. We got a football game inside of it, but it's a reward for you guys playing hard and working your butts off all year, and this is going to be a fun game. Not to say they don't take it seriously, and they do prep for it. I'm not saying that, but it's an exhibition game. But if it galvanizes this particular fan base, and Memphis ends up winning North Alabama, SMU in the bowl game, then they're 8-5.
That's right.
Not a championship, not the Cotton Bowl. I get that. That's a once-in-a-lifetime deal that we've had so far. Hopefully there's more. But, you can't go back and go, oh, the greatest moment of football history is going to repeat itself every year? Come on.
That can't be the bar.
No. It's only one Group of 5 team that goes. So, anyway, it's relief. There's no question about that. Real quick, I mentioned I don't want to see Philip Goodrum, Aaron Malloy got contract extensions today. They're and Ben Pierman won USL Championship Coach of the Year. That's a cool thing that's going on. It really is, and I hope, because they showed renderings of the new Liberty, Simmons Bank Liberty Bowl
During the
on
game.
the Jumbotron, right. I'm hoping all that does come through, including a new soccer stadium, because that is going to be a lot of fun. All right, tonight, I got to get this in really quick. Tonight, the Grizzlies are featured on ESPN. You know we'll have Andy Schiffman on at the end of the show to talk a little bit about that. It's Minnesota, but it's not Minnesota, right? It's not the same team the Grizz knocked out of the playoffs a year ago. There's no Patrick Beverly mouthing off. Rudy Gobert is there with what seems to be a dysfunctional team at the moment. They don't like each other. You got Karl Anthony Towns talking about the eating habits and lack of discipline of your favorite player of all time, Anthony Edwards. A guy I undervalued, but now look at his own teammate thinks he doesn't work hard enough.
He doesn't, but I don't have a whole lot of respect for Karl Anthony Towns either, so I take what he says a little bit of a grain of salt.
Well, and the Gobert thing isn't working out early on here, so it's not the same, but there's brand new uniforms that apparently are part of the rap culture, or that's what they signify.
No, these are the
hip-hop.
these are the they've released those, but these particular are the City Connect edition, I believe is what they're called. So like each one has one that identifies them with the city that they're in, and this is the Grizzlies version. I think the Timberwolves have their own version.
Okay, but it's supposed to be symbolizing the hip hop culture of Memphis. I'm almost certain.
I think I did see something about that, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. Anyway, that's front and center tonight, and we'll talk with Andy Schiffman about that. And, of course, it's the second round of the high school playoffs, and Glenn Rogers Jr. will join us here in just a little bit. We do a thing we call Pick 6 at 10:06, which is always late. We're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, by the way. I just want to remind everybody, get to I-40 and Wooden Road, that Relax at Home sale's going on for just a couple more weeks. There will be a Christmas sale coming, but right now, Relax at Home, massage chairs, home theater seating, can't beat it. And if you want family and friends to come over and compete, there's pool tables, there's shuffleboards, there's air hockey. They got it all at Family Leisure. You know our title sponsor? Well, that's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, where right now you go. You buy a brand new Hyundai right at the corner of Craft Road, first exit in Mississippi, off Highway 78, which is Lamar in Memphis. You go there and you buy a new Hyundai, best product on earth. You don't pay for 3 months. 90-day deferred first payment. Drive it off the lot. Don't worry about it for 3 months. That's what you get at Homer Skelton Hyundai. All right, let's begin. Well, I guess I have to admit this right off the top here. J-Mo now on this season is a very respectable 24-18. I am right at 500, which means I bet very wisely. So I'm ahead.
That's right.
That's a lie. It's 500. I'm 21-21.
Still anybody's game, though. It's got a lot of weeks left.
3 games, and lots of weeks left. We go with 4 college football games. We go with 2 NFL games. I'll start. We've got LSU -3.5 at Arkansas. I'm going to let you know something that I'm not sure many people know. LSU has not covered the week after playing Alabama since 2017. But you know what? They're going to this week. I think LSU is going to go to Arkansas, which is devastated by losing to Liberty at home. And even though they will have this in Fayetteville, and even though I'm sure Sam Pittman's been in their faces all week long, LSU still got plenty to play for. They're in the championship game if they win this game and Alabama beats Ole Miss. Are you kidding me? They're coming to play 3.5. A team just lost to Liberty? Give me Brian Kelly's Tigers.
I don't know why I want to take Arkansas this week. All the things you just mentioned are so true. Arkansas losing to Liberty last week. For some reason, though, I just have a feeling we always say all this stuff works itself out by the end of the year. We got all these narratives about if this happens, this happens. Give me Arkansas this week, and we can stop talking about LSU. How about that?
You're taking Arkansas.
I don't know why.
I love it.
I don't know why. I'm holding my nose.
You're trying to get me back into this. Second game is Alabama -11.5 at Ole Miss. My goodness. Alabama has to be Alabama again, right? Don't they? I think they're going to win the game. I don't think there's any question about that. My My question is 11.5 points. My goodness, that is an awful big spread to overcome. And we know Lane Kiffin knows Nick Saban. And we know Lane Kiffin can score some points. I don't know if they can run, but they might be able to pass. This is the hardest one, I think, for this week. And I'm going to go with Ole Miss covering, not winning the game. So I'll take the Rebels and the 11.5 points.
I am with you. I think we both could look like fools at the end of this one. Ole Miss, I like Ole Miss. I really do. I picked them before the year to beat Alabama, but they really haven't played anybody any good. I mean, They should have lost to Kentucky, but for some reason, I just feel like this has like all of the energy of an Ole Miss-Alabama game. I agree. I'm going to take the 11.5.
We are spot on there. Okay, we agree. UCF at Tulane. This is Willie Fritz's year. I mean, this is a chance. The winner of this is probably going to be in the Cotton Bowl this year because it's the group of five's best. And part of this is my heart. UCF leaving always seems to be a little bit arrogant. I'm not a big Gus Malzahn fan. Willie Fritz is a classy kind of a guy. This is a team that's gritty. It works hard. I think they're underrated, but they're 1.5 favorites in this game. I'm going to go with the home team here. Give me the green wave.
I agree. I want to take UCF so bad. Like you said, they just seem to win these games, but this is the biggest game in Tulane. I mean, I don't know Tulane's football history, but this is a huge game. 2 top 20 teams coming to town. That place is going to be rocking. I'm going to take Tulane to win as well.
All right, so we are on the same page there. TCU is at Texas. Texas, despite the fact that TCU is undefeated 9-0 and that they are ranked in the top 4 in this country, it is Texas, a 3-loss team, that is the favorite. Let me tell you that only you and I know right now. This is the biggest spread ever. A 3-loss team versus a 9-0 team. Biggest spread ever. Why? Why? TCU's going to win the game straight up. No doubt in my mind. I'm going Horned Frogs.
I mean, they're begging us to take Texas. They are begging us to take TCU, and yeah. I think that makes me like Texas. But I agree. Maybe we're both suckers here to take TCU, but I agree. I think TCU wins 7. You're giving me a full touchdown. I know it's in the NFL, but give me TCU as well.
I don't get that line. You're right. It is a sucker kind of a bet. I just don't think Texas is that good. We've never seen a spread like that with an undefeated against a 3-loss team.
Sonny Dykes is not
No, he's
a good coach.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Back our NFL picks here in just 1 second. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. And right now the deal is this, very simply. With prices going up on HVAC due to federal regulations, you get a new cooling system and it could be several different outlets because they got them all. They got the best at Conway. Get a new cooling system. They throw in the furnace, the heater, for free. All you got to do is call 384-3511. Get new, efficient equipment. Get a free furnace. Oh, by the way, they'll throw in a free Nest thermostat, state of the art. And you see your MLGW bills go down, I promise. The newest in technology with a free furnace right now at 384-3511. That's the number for Conway. Glenn Rogers Jr. is going to join us here in a minute. We got to make NFL picks, then we'll take a quick break. Minnesota at Buffalo. Without Josh Allen, probably 3.5 points is still what they're giving Minnesota at Buffalo. Everybody's saying Minnesota. You don't have Josh Allen. I think Minnesota's bubble is about to burst. There are more players on Buffalo than Josh Allen, even though he will be missed if he does not play. I'm going to go with Buffalo. I'll give away the 3.5 in the cold weather in upstate New York.
I agree. Case Keenum's one of the best. I mean, really, if you look at backup quarterbacks across the league, it's hard to find one better or as good as Case Keenum. I think he keeps them in control, and I'm also going to take Buffalo.
And then Dallas at Green Bay. Wow. The Cowboys are giving away 4.5 in the cold, frozen tundra of Wisconsin. I got to tell you, there's a lot of dysfunction in Green Bay. A former Green Bay teammate of Aaron Rodgers came out and said, with them going to Tennessee and Philly these next 2 weeks, with Dallas thrown in, if they lose 2 of the 3, Jordan Love could end up becoming the starter and Aaron Rodgers could go to the bench. There is definitely problems in Green Bay. I think this one's easy. The Cowboys, 4.5, no problem. They're winners.
I'm going to take Green Bay here. First of all, the 4.5, I like having points there. But for some reason, I just trust Aaron Rodgers to figure it out at some point. You know, Aaron Rodgers is a home underdog, 5-1 in his career against the spread. Now, this is a whole different animal, but I trust Green Bay this week.
Those are our pick 6 at 6. So that's fun. We differ on 2. We differ on the LSU-Arkansas game and the the Dallas and Green Bay game. I got to remind everybody, Eflin Insurance, all Tigers, by the way. Eflin Insurance is the way to go if you've got any kind of commercial protection needs, any kind of insurance needs, any kind of home program or life insurance, or it could be an auto program. They're there for you. That's simple. And they're big Tiger fans. Matt, even in his phone number, writes it out as 901-386-GER. That's 4777. 901-386-4777. His team of professionals sits down and they collaborate with you. They figure out your budget, what your needs are, and they protect you. Again, that can be home, auto, life insurance, or commercial insurance. They specialize in small to mid-sized businesses. They're the way to get protected. They'll get to know you at the Eflin Insurance team. Back in a minute with Glenn Rogers Jr. His dad was honored last night. We got to ask him about that. And we got high school football playoff round 2. He comes your way in a minute.
Let former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy take you home every afternoon with Sports Time on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Red Mat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder. Depending on how long you've been around, you've likely known my name for 30 years. Perhaps for my 20 years as the morning show on Kix 106 as the Young and Elder Show, or my 15 years at Brian Elder Roofing. So obviously, my reputation means everything to me. One terrible customer experience could tarnish a third of a century of goodwill. My reputation for quality and strong relationships is our main focus. We're the highest certification, a platinum preferred contractor with Owens Corning. If you have a business or a commercial building, we're the highest certification for warranties with GAF and Mulehide products. We don't come at you in sales mode. If you got a problem, sometimes the solution is just to fix the problem. Call me right now. I'll come out and see you today. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Have you been looking for a cigar lounge that's laid back and offers style and a full bar and a great selection of cigars? Now let me tell you about the G-Spot Cigar Lounge, Memphis' premier cigar lounge, offering a wide selection of cigars, open 7 days a week starting at 12 noon for your smoking pleasure. Come kick back, enjoy a beer or a cocktail and a cigar while watching sports on one of their several TVs. G-Spot Cigar Lounge on Instagram and Facebook at the G-Spot Memphis, located at 6135 Mount Moriah Road, Suite 116.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Cruising right through our Friday. One of our sponsors, I'm really proud to have AmeriCare with us. That's the way you need to go if you've got an older person in your family that is on the verge now of not being able to take care of themselves by themselves at home. Assisted living, even memory care. 3 locations for AmeriCare in the Memphis area. In Memphis proper, South Breeze. In Collierville at Schilling Gardens. In Olive Branch, it's Olive Grove Terrace. What they do with AmeriCare properties, and there's 131 of them around the country. It started in 81 with one in Sykeston. They know what they're doing. It's about wellness. Everybody knows you got to eat right, the exercise programs, but they believe at AmeriCare, healthy aging is really important about where you live. It matters where you are. Intimate communities that are smaller, easier to make friends, lots of fun activities. Some are even designed to help you, like the risk of falling. If you have a penchant for that, they have programs to help you out there. They are the ingredients for healthy aging. And you feel like it's home. That's the key. That's what AmeriCare does. 3 locations. You want assisted living in AmeriCare and memory care that feels like home. You go to Memphis South Breeze. That's on Hacks Cross. Collierville, Schilling Gardens, Olive Branch, Olive Grove Terrace on Goodman Road. Last night, a big night for Glenn Rogers Sr. Glenn Rogers Jr. joins us now. Long waited and finally arriving, the honor for your dad, the first black football player at the University of Memphis. I hope it was a great experience for him, Glenn.
Oh, good morning, Dave, to you and all our listeners. And, it was a great night for my family, all of my dad's former players, Southside High School, a lot of classes there represented. And I'll tell you, Dave, the University of Memphis, Larry Beast, the AD, the new president, Coach Silverfield, Nate Brown, and Rebecca Johnson, just the whole staff, man. They made our night spectacular, and it was just so fun to see my dad's face. And, he got a little choked up, and I knew he would, but it was just great to see the crowd there in supportive of him being the first African-American to play there.
I'm really happy for him. I truly am, and I'm glad he's back in the fold. I know there were some difficult years. It usually is that way with Pioneers.
Absolutely.
But I am glad he's been honored and he feels better about a program that he helped to build.
Absolutely. What was amazing. It's great to see the crowd support when we walked back up to our seats because he was in the AD's box and he came down. There were so many people wanting to see him. Just to see the crowd embrace him and high five him and tell him thank you, and that was just priceless to me. And like you said, it was some tough years. He didn't want to be around the program and didn't want to go to any games. And just to see him, the way he feels now, the excitement on his face, I'm just so happy for him.
Let's talk about high school football playoffs, round number 2. You're on your way to play Baylor, and you guys are 8-3. They are 8-2. Are you guys going to the third round?
Yes, sir. I mean, Dave, we have a fighting chance. They got a real dynamic wide receiver. They got an Ole Miss commitment at tackle, at their left tackle, big 6'6", 300-pound kid. But I tell you, Dave, if we can play well on defense like we did last week, and the key to our whole success is our offense not turn the ball over and find it out and get first downs. We have a fighting chance. I don't think any one team in our league is dominant like it's been in the past. So if we just can control and do the things we can do, we'll give ourselves a chance to win that ball game tonight.
Christian Brothers is at Montgomery Bell. They appear to be the best in your league. They are 10-0. Do the Brothers have a chance?
The Brothers do, and that quarterback from Montgomery Bell, he's another Ole Miss commitment. His dad used to be the head coach at Tennessee State, and he's doing an outstanding job navigating the team. And when he needs to, put the team on his back and making plays and making throws and making plays with his legs. And I tell you, Christian Brothers can do some ball control and keep that ball out of his hands. They have a chance. But I tell you, it's going to be a tough task to go up there in Nashville to do that because this kid is one of the best kids in the state and one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Yeah, I think that's a real chore for the Purple Wave. All right, let's go public here for a couple of games because the winners will play each other. Brentwood is at Bartlett, and Bartlett upset the number 1 seed in the whole thing in that region a week ago. And then Germantown is at Houston. Houston won the regular season. Let's start with Brentwood at Bartlett. Who wins?
Well, I'll tell you, Dave, I went to Bartlett a couple of weeks ago to watch that atmosphere against Collierville, and I tell you, I think it's going to be electric. Tim Jones, my former Tiger teammate, he's the principal there. And Tim Haney, one of my coaches there from Memphis, is over there. That's going to be exciting. electric atmosphere out there at Bartlett. I think Bartlett pulls the win off, Dave, and keep marching up the road for a chance to play for a state championship.
Just to make you feel old, Tim Haney's son is a video guy for the University of Memphis football program right now. He's a senior in college, just so you know. All right, Germantown and Houston, because if Bartlett beats Brentwood, and you think they will, they're going to take on one of those two. And you know, Germantown had that great start. Houston upset them in the regular season. What happens in this one?
Well, I'll tell you, Dave, this is the game. This is probably one of the most exciting games I want to see. Two programs that are represent their schools well. Two young coaches, Gene. You know, we know about Gene Robinson. We've been saying that all along. He's one of the best coaches in the area. And boy, Houston, the season that they're having, the running game, the aggressive defense. I'm giving a nod to Houston, Dave. I think for round two they still got the formula. I just don't think Germantown's gonna have enough defensively to overcome Houston tonight. I think Houston, this sets up for a great Houston-Bartlett rematch.
The number one team in the area, according to the Commercial Appeal and the Daily Memphian, is Munford. They are 11-0. They have a home game tonight. Jamie Morgan's going to be on the call as an analyst for that one. Springfield comes in. Munford hasn't lost yet. I'll ask you first, Glenn, what's going to happen. Then we'll get a little quick breakdown from J-Mo.
I think Munford they're going to do what they've been doing, Dave. They're going to stay with the running game, control the clock, and then putting the game in their defense's hand. I think, to me, that's been their formula all year, and playing great on special teams. I don't see them shying away from that tonight as well. I think that's going to be their formula to keep marching on for a state championship possibility.
J-Mo, what are the keys? What's going to happen?
Well, Springfield's a 9-win team. They're good. Munford has really got to pass the ball better. They haven't had to pass it all against a lot of teams last week, and last week they had opportunities to do so and had to make that adjustment later in the game. They got down early. Teams are really keen on the running game, so I agree with Glenn. They got to run the ball effectively, but if they can't do that, they got to find some way to get the passing game going tonight. That could be a big factor for Munford.
Are they going to?
I think so. There was some good film that they could watch this past week to improve upon that, so I think so.
Okay.
And I think Dave, too, you know, when teams try to take away what you do best, you're going to have to do something to lighten the load. So I think if Springfield loads the box, I think Munford will do a good job of passing it just to get them softened back up and then get back to try to control the game with the ground game.
In the smaller public schools, I think Booker T. Washington is a big surprise, and they got to go to Trenton, which cannot be easy. In that little small town, they're going to be packed in the place. What happens in that one?
Yeah, and, you know, it's been a Cinderella season for Booker T. Washington, Dave. But, you know, anytime you're going on the road to these small towns, you know, we both know everything closes down to after the ball game. So it'll be an electric atmosphere. And I probably think Booker T. Washington, the Cinderella run is going to come to an end tonight. I just think they're going to run up against a buzzsaw tonight in Trenton.
Huntington is coming to Memphis. Here's a small town to play Fairleigh. Fairleigh has been really good this year. What happens in South Memphis?
I think Fairleigh, Dave, to me, I think that this is going to be an upset. I think Fairleigh will come in and get the win tonight and keep the train on the tracks marching toward a state championship run. I think Fairleigh pulls off the win tonight, Dave, in Memphis. I really believe they will.
Last game, we go private again. Lausanne's only lost one game this year. They're at home. Christ Presbyterian Academy is coming in to East Memphis. Is Lausanne good enough to win a state title? Can they get past this school?
Yeah, they are, Dave. You know, CPA, great coach, Ingle Martin, who played at Montgomery Bell and played at Florida. He leads that program. And I tell you, it's going to be a tough game for Lausanne, Dave. They got to build their P's and Q's tonight. They got to execute well in the special teams department. And you know, we know CPA with Ingle Martin, the head coach, he have an outstanding game plan to start what they do best. And, you know, it wouldn't surprise me, Dave, if CPA came in here and got the win tonight because they are well coached and have an outstanding team.
I hope you're wrong on that one. I hope you are successful tonight. Be safe on your journeys. I know you're on the bus. We appreciate your time, and we'll talk playoff round 3 next Friday, and give your mom and your dad my congratulations on your dad's wonderful honor.
Thank you, Dave, and it was amazing to see the Tigers 26 points last night in honor of the ceremony of my dad. That was amazing to see. Go Tigers, go!
Yeah, defense, baby. In honor
That's
of
right.
you
Thank you, Dave.
in honor of you and your dad. How about that?
Yeah, how about that? How about that defense last night?
Yeah.
It was great to see those guys come out and perform.
No question. It was the best performance on the defensive side I've seen in years. Be safe. Thank you much. Glenn
Thank you,
Rogers
buddy.
Jr., our man on high school football. This portion of our broadcast is brought to you by the good folks at Poppy's Pills. That's really Grind City because they make it. That wonderful Memphis brewery makes this refreshing Pilsner that I am crazy about. Light and crisp. It is, as they say, built for speed or ultra crushable. It is the thing that really hits the spot. And again, made right here, 6 packs, 15 packs. You can find them all over town. You can get them at places like Eddie Connor's Spirit Shop right there at Poplar and St. Nick. It's so easy to get all of this stuff. And one little bit of advice, this Pilsner, it's best when it's served ice cold. This could be your last warm day. So you might want to think about it tonight when you get ready to maybe enjoy some high school football. You're doing some tailgating. Think Memphis. Think Grind City. Think Pilsner. Poppy's Pills. That's the Pilsner from Grind City. We take a break to Chicago. We will go. Our friend Andy Schiffman on the NBA and the Grizz in Minnesota tonight. He comes your way in just a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando is growing, and they've only been around for 5 years. Choose from hundreds of choices of wood, tile, vinyl, and carpet. Timmy, the owner, gets calls from people everywhere and can sometimes save them up to 50% on wood, tile, vinyl, and carpets. Jenkins meets all your needs from renovations to home building to installation. Enjoy buying excellent quality products at awesome prices. They're all about customer service at Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando. Call 662-469-9350.
2000, 2008, 2022. When it comes to the economy, those are some scary years. .com crash, housing crash, and the roller coaster we're going through right now. It's a dangerous time to not know your numbers. But over 31,000 businesses have the confidence and clarity they need because they rely on NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of financials, inventory, HR, planning, and budgeting. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, improve margins. Everything you need all in one place. So, how do you prepare for uncertain times? The answer, NetSuite. NetSuite helps you identify rising costs, automate your business processes, and easily see where to save money. That's why 93% of customers say they improved their visibility and control when they upgraded to NetSuite. What are you waiting for? NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program. Head to netsuite.com/play. netsuite.com/play.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Just a reminder, weekend's almost here. I mentioned a little earlier you can get like Poppy's Pills and all the local stuff at the Spirit Shop. Eddie Connor's Place at the corner of Poplar and St. Nick. It's 4848 Poplar to be exact. You've seen it. It's the little log cabin right down from Clark Tower. They got everything in there. Everything you need. Accessories like a little rub for your rim, even chips that might match a particular liquor. But then there's every beer that's local. There is valuable bourbons, and there's the bargains that come with it. Same thing with wine. It's time to stock up. Think about my friends. You'll get educated when you walk into the Spirit Shop at Poplar and St. Nick. Tonight, the Grizz and Minnesota. That's the team the Grizz put out of the playoffs a year ago. But Andy Schiffman, as we go to Chicago, our agent from Priority Sports, joins us now. It's not the same Minnesota team. It's almost like dysfunctional. A lot of fighting going on inside there.
Hey, Dave. Yeah, it's definitely a vastly different team from what you saw in the playoffs last year and your guy, Anthony Edwards. I still think they're going to end up on a high note and really turn things around here. They're 5-7 right now. You know, they're coming off a loss against Phoenix. Before that, a loss, New York, both at home as well. So they're looking, I mean, they got a tough little road trip here. They got on the road, obviously, tonight in Memphis, and then it doesn't get any easier at Cleveland. And then Orlando could be a sneaky team to play on the road. They've come away with some wins. I think they beat Golden State last week at home. So very early on, even beyond Minnesota, you've seen a lot of chemistry issues with playoff-level teams, with Minnesota, obviously with Golden State. So it's a really rocky start to the start of the season for Timberwolves.
Well, here's what Anthony Edwards is a guy that I totally underrated. I made that mistake. I've lived up to it. But I will say this. When Karl Anthony Towns, who may not be the greatest guy in the world, is taking shots at his own teammate, and this experiment, they mortgaged the future to bring in Rudy Gobert, and this team is playing the way that they are playing, it makes you wonder, because there's a lot of infighting, and they're 5-7 coming into this one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It's always tricky when you unload a stockpile of young assets and draft picks to Utah to get a player like Rudy Gobert that, look, like, I love working with their front office. I've known Tim Connelly, their president of basketball operations, for years. I think he does a great job. It's a big gamble, though. And Rudy Gobert, pairing him with Karl Anthony Towns, that's a great front court matchup. But, again, where does that put you 2 or 3 years down the road when Gobert is now however many years older than he is right now? He's been in the league for, 10 years, I believe, and you're giving up multiple first-round, second-round picks that you've seen what those could turn into in the last 2 years. Obviously, you've seen what Memphis has done. You've seen, even when Tim was in Denver, what they've done with their first-round picks. I still think in a couple of years, Detroit's going to be a really formidable team in the East. Still a couple of years away, but they're on the right path with their young draft picks. So they like you said, they kind of bet the house on Gobert, and so far it really hasn't been working. But I'm not panicking. I mean, look, they're 5-7. They're not 1-11 or anything like that. There's a lot of basketball left to be played.
All right. You mentioned first rounders. That would be Triple J. I got a little birdie telling me he's going to be back in November, not December. You got several players on that team. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I think there's a pretty good chance that we'll see him right after Thanksgiving. Things are on track. I do believe he is working out with the team. Obviously, as you know, Dave, there's a big difference of being cleared for 5-on-5 and healthy versus being able to go out there and play in an NBA game and make an impact. You have to ease into that. You got to get your conditioning and your game shape back and just your rhythm back. And that's going to be a big question mark for this team, right? Is how is he now all of a sudden? It'll be interesting to see. Is Taylor going to have him come off the bench the first few games and stick with the starting lineup that he has been sticking with and has had success? Is he going to immediately insert him back into the starting lineup and have Aldama coming off the bench, still being a part of the rotation? I would imagine it's probably going to be more of the former, where you're going to ease him into the rotation. Ultimately, look, Jaren Jackson is an elite-level talent. He's a star player on this team. I think there's no question he's a starter on this team. It's just a matter of when. But I'm hopeful that we'll see him as a Grizzlies fan before the 1st of December. And as Santi's agent, I'm not upset if it's a little bit longer and Santi keeps getting those starting 5 spots.
I don't blame you for that. He has been cleared and is doing 5-on-5 drills in practice. So that is the first step. You mentioned earlier how Minnesota basically mortgaged the future with Utah, so that Utah was going to get all these young players in the future, and that's what we all thought. Utah was going to be really good in the future. Well, the future's here, I guess. Poor Minnesota looks like they've really taken the raw end of this deal, because Utah is the number 1 team in the West at 10-3. They haven't lost a game at home yet. How long can this keep up?
Look, I keep saying it's all going to average out. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, and I still believe that. But you're right; it is very surprising to see what they've been doing. They've won the last 4. They went on a West Coast trip. Well, they're already on the West Coast, but they beat the Lakers. They beat the Clippers, both in the road. They come back home. They put up almost 140 points against the Lakers at home. They win in Atlanta Wednesday night. Now they're on the road out east against the Wizards, against the Sixers, both winnable games for Utah. So, yeah, look, this could continue for a while, well into close up to Thanksgiving. It's been fun to watch them as a young team. Obviously, they made that deal, moving Donovan Mitchell, adding Lauri Markkanen. Now Jordan Clarkson is a starter on this team, whereas years past he's been coming off the bench. Mike Conley is obviously still there, and they've got a really strong young bench. You forget that they added Colin Sexton from that Donovan Mitchell trade, who's a good player from Cleveland. They made that deal with the Lakers, and they were able to get Taylor Horton-Tucker. They drafted Walker Kessler. They've got Malik Beasley, who can be an elite-level perimeter shooter. Those are all very good bench players, and look, it's working for them. The chemistry is there. I don't think there's something to be said in this league, Dave, when you have no expectations and your whole mindset is, well, let's just go out there and develop your young players, because then it just makes everything a little bit easier. There's less pressure, and I think that's what you're seeing in Utah.
Well, you know what? No Gobert, no Mitchell. Those were the two keys, and everybody thought this was going to be a throwaway year. They're going to rebuild in 2 or 3 years. We'll take a look. No Quinn Snyder as their coach, who kind of quit on them, and a lot of people thought he was the real brains behind it all. This is the most surprising thing, I think, in a long time in the NBA.
Look, Will Hardy is a really well-respected coach. Obviously, he has kind of been in the Utah organization and been around that staff and those players for quite some time. And I think there's something to be said for continuity within an organization, and Hardy is taking advantage of that. So it's, like I said, I mean, as it stands today, if I look up 6 or 7 months from now, I personally don't think Utah is going to be in the playoffs. It's been fun to watch so far, but hey, I've been wrong just as much as I've been right, and maybe even more. So you never know. We could be sitting here seeing Utah in the playoffs again, which would honestly be very remarkable. I don't even know if you've really ever seen that in the history of the NBA, at least in recent years. When you see some of these teams, quote unquote, blow up their core, obviously you've seen the Grizzlies do it years ago, moving Pau Gasol, and you see what that turned into after getting Marc Gasol, but that did not happen overnight. You've seen that many times, and so it is. You see how the success kind of matriculates down to players 1 through 15, and over time, over the course of 2 or 3 seasons, these young teams become a playoff presence. It's pretty interesting now to see a chance for this team, Utah, moving their superstar player, moving Gobert, defensive player of the year almost every single year, and still having success with a brand new coach that's never been an NBA head coach before. Look, I'm pulling for him. It's really it'll be interesting to see the second half of the season.
Great story. We'll keep our eye on it for sure. This week, the commissioner, Adam Silver, who admitted he may have taken too long with what he did with Kyrie Irving, met with Irving. Irving's missed 4 games. He could be back at the end of this weekend. I don't know what will end up happening there. Maybe you do. Irving has 6 different things he has to do in order to be able to play for the Nets again. Will he do those?
Look, I think he will, and those 6 things you're talking about, apologize on social media, which if I remember correctly, I think he already did that, verbally apologize, condemn that film that he posted about on social media, go through some sensitivity training, meet with Jewish leaders in Brooklyn, meet with their owner. What I remember, if I remember correctly, he has to donate $500,000.
Yeah.
But I think these anti-hate organizations, I think they rejected that or something.
No. I'll tell you what that was. He was basically in unison with the Nets. They were both going to give $500,000 to. I want to say it was the Jewish Defense League, the JDL.
I thought it was the Anti-Defamation League.
It could be the Anti-Defamation League. It could be the JDL. Whatever it was, when he did his non-apology, which led to the 5-game suspension, because he was given the money before the suspension, when he gave that non-apology and refused to say he was not anti-Semitic, that is when that particular entity said, we don't want your money.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would tend to agree with that. And the other thing that I think is absurd is everything you've seen coming out of LeBron, basically backing Kyrie. Obviously, they played together in Cleveland, saying that, look, he should be back on the court, and him coming out to the media.
There's a lot of players saying that. It's not just LeBron.
Yeah, I think they're asking to do is excessive. I don't think so. In today's world, in today's day and age, being an NBA player is a privilege. It's not a right. And I think that gets lost in all this.
Yeah.
So if you're an employee of the Brooklyn Nets and you're coming out portraying yourself a certain way, and you've just completely ignored several opportunities to denounce anti-Semitism, come out and basically, as much as you clearly can state that you're not an anti-Semitic, and you just haven't. And it's this whole apology that you posted, that clearly it was not from the heart. It was not sincere.
No.
It's written by his PR people. We talked about that last week. So, sorry, LeBron. I don't think it's too much to ask for a guy that's coming out. And here's the other thing. A guy like Kyrie, these NBA players, a lot of them, they don't consider themselves influencers. But the essence of the word, you are an influencer. You are a public figure. Everyone is watching you on national TV around the world, international TV. Everyone is following you on social media. You, whether you like it or not, you are an influencer. You have influence. You have your words and your actions influence society. You may not be out there on TikTok every day talking about what clothes you're going to wear each day or what makeup you're putting on. But I hate to say it, Kyrie, like you have to have some dose of reality here and understand that this is how hate bubbles up. And you saw the same thing with Trump, and not to get too political, just words and actions have negative impact. And I think that gets lost in Kyrie.
I'm with you. And it's disappointing to me, the players that are rallying behind some of the sentiment, because I promise you, if there was any player, white or black, that would support and endorse a film that was glorifying the KKK,
yeah,
you think anybody would accept that is okay? No, nobody would. And this is pretty much the same sort of thing. Hey, absolutely. I appreciate it, Andy, and we'll talk more games and deals. Who knows? Because look what the Lakers are trying to do. We'll do that again next Friday. Thank you.
Sounds good, Dave. Thanks a lot.
That is our man, our agent in Chicago. That is Andy Schiffman. He's brought to you by a guy who does his business just like Andy. They're crafty. They know what they're doing. They've got strategy. That's my man, Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf. Please, if you're going to sell your home, talk to 2 or 3 agents. Make sure one of them is my guy, Sheldon. He's got a strategy. Other real estate agents, they talk to him because they know he's got the insight. He's been doing it for so darn long. He understands that he's got that strategy, that marketing strategy that, by the way, takes into account the fluctuating interest rates. He studies all the time. He adapts. That's why he sells homes. 483-0546, or you can go to memphisrelocate.com, 483-0546, or memphisrelocate.com. The guy that gets it done, Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf. Weekend is upon us. Enjoy it, folks. We'll meet back here again on Monday. Johnny Radio's next.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business